Are we wrong about introverts versus extroverts? It's tempting to get caught up in the buzz of personality types in the hopes of simplifying the minefield that is modern dating or determining if your new coworker would be a good culture match. There's no shame in wanting to learn more about our own and other people's inner lives, whether it's about an ex who was a narcissist or you and your boss don't get along because your zodiac signs are intrinsically at odds. So after all, life is complicated, so finding some organization is only natural. But what if we've all got wrong when it comes to the introvert versus extrovert debate? What if none of us are present, whether here, there, or somewhere in between? Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel. In this video we'll be looking at some very different ways to look at introversion and extroversion, and why we all might be wrong at the way we perceive it. Before we start, make sure to hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. Done? Let's get started. Extroversion isn't a new notion. Theories of extroversion and introversion have been present in psychological literature for over a century under various names. Many theories consider an individual's level of extroversion and introversion to be a fundamental determinant in personality development. Extroversion influences how a person directs their energy, whether externally or internally, and the degree of extroversion can help us determine how a person is likely to respond and perceive external stimuli. Extroverts prefer to engage with the outer world of objects, sensory experience, and action, as characterized by psychotherapist JUNG, who established the notions. Introverts, on the other hand, are thoughtful and insightful people who are more focused on their inner world of introspection. This paradigm is the foundation for the controversial but widely used MYERS-BRIGGS personality test. Reflecting on the source of one's energy is another method of looking at what separates the two in a more self-aware approach. You may prefer to spend most of your time alone, but if being among others energizes you, you may be an extrovert. Extroverts want to interact with the outside world of objects, sensory experience, and action, according to psychologist JUNG, who coined the term in 1923. Introverts, on the other side, are those who are more focused on their inner world of introspection and are intelligent and insightful. The controversial but commonly used MYERS-BRIGGS personality test is based on this paradigm. Another manner of looking at what divides the two in a more self-aware perspective is to reflect on the source of one's energy. Although you may prefer to spend most of your time alone, you may be an extrovert if being among others energizes you. If you enjoy social situations but require time alone to recharge, you may fall on the introvert side of the spectrum. However, some people relate this to being right or left-handed, whether having a dominant hand does not render your other hand utterly inert or worthless. You're simply better with one. Of course, this isn't scientific, but it can help people better understand their interpersonal needs. The problem is that we tend to see the two categories as being behaviorally distinct, and we frequently use the framework to categorize people based on specific characteristics. Extroversion is frequently connected with traits like being opinionated, talkative, cheerful, or noisy, whereas introversion is often associated with traits like being a good listener, soft-spoken, socially apprehensive, or a homebody. As useful as these aims are, they misrepresent reality, argues Renee Meadows, PhD in Psychology Today. They are used under the assumption that people fall into separate groups based on their qualities, which they do not. Meadows further points out that they are all just convenient classifications that convey nothing about nature in particular. He writes, "There is no reason to believe that nature has created introverts or extroverts. Instead, persons can have any level of extroversion, ranging from extremely low to very high, with the majority falling somewhere in the middle." This framework is problematic from the start, since it implies that there are only two types of people in the universe, each capable of only two separate sets of attributes, which is simply not true. The concept of that ambivert is one way that individuals try to reason with the structure. An ambivert is defined by psychologist Edmund S. Conklin as someone who is neither completely introverted nor completely outgoing. What I have dubbed ambiversion is this tendency to swing between what is clearly introversion and what is definitely extroversion, to find values of life often in each phase of action. He said in a 1924 study, "Most people, as Jung proposed in the 1920s, are ambiverts, a type of hybrid who can easily switch from one side to the other. However, while many people find comfort in labeling themselves as ambiverts, the existence of an ambivert is still rooted in the binary. After all, if we are all moving along a spectrum, the concept of being in the middle is meaningless because we are all in constant motion. Furthermore, most of us would agree that a person's ability to engage in outward sociability isn't a good indicator of their personality or social comfort zones. In a post-pandemic environment, we also have the ability to change over time, shifting from one side of the spectrum to the other. Many extroverts have found themselves adjusting to and even developing a propensity for alone time after years of being in out of lockdowns. Sure, we're all rusty in social situations, especially when it comes to small talk, workplace banter, and meeting strangers. However, for some it goes much beyond. Positive emotionally or extroversion and negative emotionally or neuroticism are the foundations of what are commonly referred to as introversion and extroversion. Shiner explained in an email that positive emotionality encompasses the dispositions to experience happy emotions, engage in a lot of social contexts, be very active, and be eager to get into rewarding situations, as the name suggests. Positive emotionality manifests itself as assertiveness as you get older and people listen to the loudest person in the room. Negative emotionality makes you vulnerable to a variety of unpleasant emotions such as worry, anger, insecurity, and vulnerability. Essentially, it improves your ability to recognize environmental hazards. Anxiety is primarily responsible for the survival of the species, according to one researcher, because identifying threats keeps humans alive. Negative emotional people or neurotics are hypersensitive to risks, making them more easily distracted at work and more difficult to keep happily married. If we may use some technical language, the crucial thing to remember, according to Shiner, is that positive and negative emotionality are orthogonal, which means that your position on one is unrelated to your position on the other. You can have highly extroverted and highly neurotic people, she explains. Those are people that have a lot of emotions and are more emotionally sensitive, may suffer approach avoidance conflict, are drawn to awards, and are concerned about threats. People who are low in extroversion and neuroticism are less emotionally intense. I pictured the stereotypical engineer as someone who isn't concerned with a lot of things and isn't particularly friendly. These are biological systems that everyone has to some extent. Extroversion is the biological system that controls your reward sensitivity. Neuroticism controls your threat sensitivity. This is one of the reasons why shyness is such a muddled concept. Not wanting to hang out with people as frequently as others may arise from a lack of interest in the benefits of socialization or apprehension about the social dangers involved. Humanity, according to Shiner, would not have progressed very far without both of those systems. If you want to thrive, you have to seek rewards and avoid hazards. Traits, on the other hand, aren't all the same. There's evidence that major life events alter personality traits, and that dispositional awareness, the ability to describe one's experiences, might protect against neuroticism's worst impacts, such as sadness. Similarly, your ambitions make up a large part of who you are. If you're usually drawn to social benefits, preparing for finals, applying to law school, or creating a book proposal, you'll carve out time for solitude. Limiting your life to a single trait, introvert, extrovert, or neurotic, is a mistake. However, whether or not there is a global epidemic, people can not only change when they're on the extroversion spectrum, but perhaps where we go wrong in expecting people will settle somewhere. While it's natural to seek solace in frameworks that help us better understand ourselves and those around us, these outmoded identities can only provide so much knowledge. Almost everyone, regardless of personality, feels exhausted or burnt out after extended socializing, according to a study from University of Helsinki. Perhaps it all depends on the specific scenario, company, environment, and time. With that, we have come to the end of the video. If you found it interesting, make sure to hit the like button and let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. Also, make sure to subscribe if you haven't already done so. See you soon with another exciting video. Until then, bye.